Hey there, welcome to another episode of Watch Soup, the Friday version, not the Sunday version. I am your co-host, Bobby Legs. I'm joined here by my co-host, Clayton from the Watchdog podcast. Yeah, not doing it Easter Sunday, right? Some celebrate the Easter Sunday
Right.
holiday, right?
Yep.
So we figure maybe we'll just go on Good Friday, which is probably equally as important. But whatever. It is what it is. You
Some
guys,
Good Friday soup with no meat in it, and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, right. Anyway, Clayton, I mean, anybody could watch this or listen to the podcast at any time. It doesn't have
Right.
to be during
Right.
the holiday. Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
Yeah, good. I was telling you, and you live in the north. You live in
Mm,
New Jersey, so we're gonna get the same weather eventually.
yeah,
Rainy. Holy smokes, it's
yeah.
rainy. Just the place I take the dogs is a complete and utter mud pit. Dogs and children love to play in the mud. The
They
dogs just
certainly
go in
do.
and they drink it.
Yeah.
They lay in it, and I have plenty of like white and cream colored like golden doodles and other, and it's just a mess. And like, so yeah, it's been challenging. And now somebody, it's on the bottom of a hill sort of, so the house up the hill, their sump pump is draining down, and so
Yeah.
water is just settling in there. So it's been kind of a nightmare. I'm actually looking for like a new place to take them. Kind of frustrated by it. It's no one's fault really,
Right.
except that
Right.
bum on the hill. But
But so now, do you hose the dogs off after they're done? Is there like a different? So you
I do
take
have
them.
running water out there, so I do hose them, but the
Okay.
owner shut it off for the winter, 'cause
Right. So it doesn't
pipe's
freeze.
freezing and everything,
Right.
but it's been pretty mild,
Yeah.
so it's back on. But yes, but some don't like the hose. They
Yeah.
like it in puddle form, they don't like it in hose form.
So then, like, once you hose them off, do you throw them in a truck or something like that? Is
Yeah,
that
just yeah, I
okay,
have my van, so I
okay.
just throw them in my van, yeah.
Is it like a Punisher van, like, all black, or is it like a
I have a
minivan?
blue, it's a Mercedes Metris van with an
Oh,
AC. It's a doggy mobile. I have a big AC unit on the top for them
oh,
because
that's awesome. Wow,
yeah,
this
it's
is
like,
wow.
it's something else.
Yeah, I mean,
Dork mobile.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's totally not what I expected, but that's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's pretty sweet, I want something like from Dumb and Dumber, the whole dog thing, whatever they called that thing, but
Hey, what do you have on wrist tonight?
wearing the, Air King tonight.
Nice.
Yep.
Very nice. I got the GP Seahawk on this evening. Hey, let's say hello to some of the guys joining us on this special night. Bill K is here. Soup's on, that is correct. James is here. How you doing, James? Mr. Wilson is here. Hey, Peter C, good to see you, buddy. He is here. Hey, Amin is here. What is up, Amin? Bruno, good to see you. Joey B, hey now, how you doing? Hey, so we got 3 videos this week. Um, you're gonna be tackling one
Oof,
that's
bear
really
apologies, a lot of talking
yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe some stumbling. I'll do my best here.
No problem. I'll kick us off. Pete McConvill came out with a video this week. Watch enthusiast or watch collector. What am I? What are you? And this is, just based on the title, I saw it. I knew I had to watch it because this is something that I've kind of, I don't know if the right word is struggle with, but it's something that had an internal debate on what am I, and I feel like Pete does a pretty good job here talking it through, even though it was a short video, and then using a great analogy. I really liked his analogy at the end.
Yes.
Let's start off here. And the reason why he decided to put out this video, and it's a loose video. He didn't want to make it too heavy of a discussion. Was that he's noticed that once in a while you'll see a YouTuber, podcaster, or a journalist self-identify as a watch enthusiast and carefully do so, and not say that they are a watch collector. He doesn't think that there's necessarily need to be alternatives though between a watch enthusiast or a watch collector. He's like, you can be either or both in that. And so then he goes into defining what a watch collector is, and a watch collector has a collection of watches, right? Enthusiasts I'm sorry, a watch collector has a watch collection, right? It's the collection, where enthusiast has a collection of watches. And with a watch collector, the point of it is the collection itself. And he sees the watches as adjectives of the type of collection that you have. Understand that the collection as a whole, and what you want it to be. With an enthusiast, the point is the watches itself. And so he also says that this is where the analogy comes in to further drill in his point, is that he owns 8 cameras, but he doesn't consider himself a camera collector. The point of having them is like, is to be like, hey, I'm sorry, the point uh, if having them is not to be like, hey, I have a collection of cameras. Sorry, I can't even read my own notes. Uh,
It's
uh,
a precursor of what's gonna happen to me during the Tim video.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, and the difference that he uses, right? He's like, you know, um, he has all these cameras, and some of these, the cameras are so he can take like photographs, right? It's not that he didn't want to take photographs; he wouldn't have the cameras, and so each of these cameras may serve like a different purpose. Like there's a purpose, right? And I'm just paraphrasing here, and I'm expounding. Maybe he has a camera that is just for black and whites, or something that's better for low light. Maybe he's got a digital. Maybe he's got like a 35 millimeter, whatever. This is not what he said, but this is what I extrapolate from that. He has a collection of watches, not because he wants to tell the time in like different areas of the world, or if he wants to tell the time in a low light, or in bright light. It's because he likes having a lot of watches, right? And so, like, you know, I like his analogy, um, because at times I think to myself, am I really a watch collector? Or am I an enthusiast? And the reason why I struggle with that is because I go through a lot of watches, right? Like, to me, in my mind, like, a watch collector is probably somebody who is the opposite of me, right? Someone who really takes time and think about the kind of pieces that he wants to put together, he or she wants to put together in like a theme, right? Although I do have a little theme going in the collection of watches that I have. A watch collector, in my mind, now it doesn't mean that it's the right answer, or if there is any answer that is correct, is somebody who doesn't like go through as many watches as I do and flips and sells them, right? So like I see myself a little bit of both, right? I'll admit to that. I am an enthusiast because to me it's about the watches, but also there's part of me that's a collector because I have like that theme, like the German watch theme, right? And so for me, it's not an either or situation. It's a little bit of column A, column B, and that's okay. And that's okay. And that's where I'm at right now. Um, Other than the goof up I had here with some of my notes, Clayton, like what did you think? Was there anything that spoke to you about that video? And do you see yourself as an enthusiast, or a collector, or both?
Yeah, so I guess before this video, I definitely considered myself an enthusiast. I'm not a big collector of things, so I don't love having. I always think of a collector as somebody who just, has a lot of watches or whatever it might be that you collect, comic books, whatever. I don't love to have a big collection of watches. I always think of, we know people who are like Seiko dive watch collectors or
Mm-hmm.
Grand Seiko collectors. You're a German watch collector. Like I think of that as collectors, whereas I'm like, I'm into a watch, I'll buy it, but I don't have a specific theme or anything like that. So I always thought of myself as an enthusiast, but his camera analogy was interesting to me and made me rethink because in that instance, I think I'm a collector because I'm passionate about watches. It's not casual. It's you and I are. It's not a casual
Mm-hmm.
interest for us. It's thought out. We think about this, and maybe we impulsively buy, but we're knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
whatever the watch might be. We know the latest releases. We're very passionate. I thought of my wife, and then it was clear she's a watch enthusiast. She actually has more watches than I do. She's into inexpensive things
Yeah.
like Timex, but there's Timex is doing this re- a series of ladies watch releases with this artist, and she's buying them all.
Mm,
And they're actually like going up they sell out quickly, and they're going up on the secondary market on eBay. It's kind of funny that these Timex are, and she has all of them. But she doesn't think about it. If she likes a watch, she'll buy it. She doesn't care that it sits unworn for months on end, like you and I might.
yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like she likes to wear them, but she's not passionate about them, I would say. So I would say she's an enthusiast and I'm a collector, according to Pete's sort of definition at the end of the video with the camera thing.
Yeah.
That kind of struck it to me that I guess maybe in not the volume of watches I have, but in my interest, I'm certainly more, if we're putting collector in the more like seriously in
Hmm.
deep thing, then
Hmm.
I guess I'm a collector.
Yeah. 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 I still like, I think the definition between the enthusiast and the collector, although he lays it out very clearly and simply to for everyone to understand, it's an individual thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So like I think I am mostly aligned to what he says. um, but I think of myself definitely as both. Because my there's times in my collections where like okay, so I have several German watches now, right? That is a collection, but then tomorrow or next week I may have no German watches, right? And then I just have a grouping of watches, and so like, is it a collection? I don't know. I think I romanticize what a watch collector is. Like, to
right.
me, the notion is that somebody who it has really studied a certain, let's say, like a navitimer, right? And they want to have like the different models of, or different versions of the nav, like maybe they want like a cosmonaut, maybe they want like a regular navitimer
Right.
with a Lamania movement, and then maybe they're going for now a newer one with a B01 chronograph, that kind of thing. Like somebody who's like really a subject matter expert at that one particular brand or particular model, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then has like this like collection of like important releases, important years, almost like baseball, like a wine, you know what I mean? You
Mhm.
have you have this brand, and you have like this great release year, and that's very very important cog in the whole collection, or sub collection. And so I don't have that. I don't necessarily have that passion, although I wish I did. Like, I just don't have that level, and I don't know if it's because I can't, the watch that I'm interested in doing that with, I can't afford yet, or what it is. But I don't feel like I necessarily fit the romanticized version of a watch collector in my mind. So I'm fine with being an enthusiast and then scratching the surface a little bit technically as a watch collector, because I have a collection of like German watches. I know that's really complicated, and I know it probably doesn't make sense to anybody except for me. But I see myself as a little bit of both.
See, I would consider you a German watch collector even if you sold all your German watches tomorrow,
Mm,
because you are passionate about them.
mm,
You do know about
okay.
brands even that I've never heard of. You've opened my eyes to German brands I've never heard of. So, and you'll probably come back to them. So just we go through watches. I understand it. Some people don't. Some people just don't sell and they keep everything. And like I think Pete has said, he has what 70 or 80 watches, something
Yeah.
like that. But, no, I think that's where your interest lies, and maybe you are selling a few to buy a more expensive German brand that you've never that to me, I still consider you a German watch collector.
Mm,
It doesn't really have much to do with the volume of them that you
mm,
have. It has
mm,
to do with the passion you have for them, and I think
yeah.
you are pretty knowledgeable, and we see that with Speedmasters too.
Yeah.
We know people who collect Speedmasters, and yeah, we have all kinds of, we know G-Shock collectors. I mean,
Yeah.
there's, I think, just being passionate. It could also just be maybe not ticking boxes, but maybe you want like a couple dive watches, or maybe
Mhm.
you want precious metal, so you have one or two of those. So it could be a collection that way too. Maybe just personalized to you.
Yeah.
Maybe you want a world timer, so you have one of those. You have your dress watch. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
a dive watch. You have titanium, gold, whatever it might
Mhm.
be.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and what you sound, what you're saying sounds like perfectly logical. I think I'm just hung up on like my own beliefs that, which are may not be justified, on what a collection is, and just may not make any sense. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely a very personal call. And to Pete's credit, he's like, he doesn't want to make a big deal about it in this video. He was just like, that's up to the individual, right? You know what I mean? So good video by Pete. Let's see what the chat is up to. Hey, Young Excellency is here. How you doing, Young Excellency? Hey, Wayban, good to see you. His Hotelier Brew is back on wrist from France. Joey B, are we a watch collector? Are we enthusiasts? Are we Devo? Hey, Mr. Casio, how you doing? Good to see you. James Leslie, I am an enthusiast when I am looking for a watch, and I'm a collector when the watch arrives. Okay, okay, I like that.
Interesting.
I am a watch gatekeeper, Mr. Casio says. I determine that other people's watches with silicone hairsprings lack soul, and I need to know what movement is in your watch. I think he's making fun of one Mr. Bill Sanders there.
Mr. Bill, yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking that,
yeah.
yeah.
JB, I got a seagull coming in. Oh, nice. Okay.
Nice.
Um, Bruno saying collecting German watches is tough because you always have to buy the full kit. Other German watch collectors will ask to see your papers. Okay. Okay. Hey, so
Uh,
moving along. Good luck with this one.
all right, deep
WatchBox
breath
Studios
here. Deep breath
2024
here,
will have
watchdog.
gone 50 fathoms revealed. New dive watch is here and dot dot dot. Go ahead, Clayton.
So specifically just talking about, I'm not talking about this whole video, the
Right.
Hermes lawsuit, right? So this was interesting. This was, I should have, this is about close to 20 minutes in, spent like the better half of the better part of the last half of the video on
Yeah.
this interesting lawsuit that, isn't directly related to watches in the watch industry, but could be. So he's talking about an Hermes lawsuit over sales tactics that could affect many different industries: fashion, automotive, and the watch industry. Right? References an Associated Press story by Michelle Chapman about the legal action Cavallari versus Hermes. Was filed in the U.S. District Court in California just last week. Hermes, they make watches, obviously, but mostly known for their handbags. They have one called the
Hmm.
Birkin that they sell, and other
Hmm.
very expensive bags. These are sold exclusively to VIP clients, big spenders, celebrities, established influencers. Um, excuse me, non VIPs can get these, but they have to buy a boatload of other stuff just for the right to buy these Birkin bags, right? Um, because we're drawing direct parallels to the watch industry, Tim said you need to spend a pile for the opportunity to spend another pile on the thing that you actually want. Sounds familiar, right? Watch people. We've maybe had to do that a time or two when buying a certain brand that ends with X. This is where luxury watch issue. Again, from the article, Birkin handbags are handcrafted from leather by artisans in France. They can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and they can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars on the secondary market, which is crazy. I didn't realize
Mm.
they got that high. They're seen on celebrities' arms. J Lo, Kim Kardashian, and Cardi B. It was interesting to hear Tim say Cardi B.
Yeah. Right.
Um, they can only be purchased in Hermes stores and not on the website. The lawsuit claims that the average customer just can't walk in and buy one. Customers who are deemed worthy, you can't buy them online. Customers who are deemed worthy are shown them in a private room. It's like a huge big deal. Hermes store is key here. They own all of their stores that they sell watches in, or bags in, excuse me.
Hmm.
Vertical retail is a big part of this antitrust suit. Brand owned boutiques. They have about 300 brand owned stores around the world. Back to the lawsuit, it states that Hermes implemented a scheme to exploit market power by requiring customers to purchase other ancillary products from defendants before they were given an opportunity to purchase a Birkin handbag. With this scheme, Hermes were able to effectively increase the price of the handbags and thus the profits. Also, sounds like some watch brands we
Hmm.
know. They're the exclusive distributor of their merchandise in the U.S. They sell through the stores, and excluding the Birkin, they also sell on their website 43 stores in the U.S. Tim said we can replace the name of Hermes and handbag with many popular watch models and makes. And this is also a class action lawsuit. So if this wins, everybody who feels like they've gone through this screening process and were denied the right to buy a Birkin handbag win, right? So it's like a group of plaintiffs here. Um, and then let's see. So the Supreme Court obviously um, decides the law of the land, right? There's no guarantee that if the plaintiffs win, this would go to Supreme Court. But if it did, it could have some major ramifications that could affect us as watch buyers and watch retailers. Prohibition against familiar luxury dealer practices like qualifying purchases, purchase bundling, prejudicial purchase approvals, like, and the US is one of the biggest markets for luxury watches, so it could really have a huge impact. Um, the plaintiff claims that Hermes instructed sales associates to upsell those with insufficient purchase history with products such as shoes, scarves, belts, jewelry, and home goods. Sales associates don't receive commission for selling the Birkin bags, and this was a way to coerce customers to buy all this other crap because they receive a 3% commission on that stuff. So that's the definition of bundling, right? We've seen that. Oh,
Hmm.
you want this whatever watch? Well, you buy this lady's Raymond Vile, I don't know. And then maybe you'll get it. Well, that never sells, right?
Right.
So then he compares it to watches. You want to buy Longa Odysseus. You go in there, you ask for one. You were probably told that you had to buy a bunch of other watches before you could get the right ladies' watches and other watches that people just don't want and don't buy. Very similar to what's going on with Hermes with the Birkin bag. Will it be the same under the law, though? FP Journe has the Black Label collection only for big spenders. The Kevin O'Learys of the world who have bought all these FP Journes, right? Only for them. They even stated on their website that it's only for FP Journe collectors with spend history. They don't hide it. Um, FP Journe owns all of its boutiques. So does Hermes, meaning if Hermes loses this case, it could really affect you know FP Journe, Richemont. A lot of those brands own their own boutiques. AP owns their own boutiques, and they are famous for their difficult sales tactics. Right, you need a big time purchase history to buy AP. So then he talks about vendors of a certain brand that rhymes with Rolodex also play favorites, but and some will even admit it. But the thing with that is they're independent retailers, so they're not working for the brand. They're just a store that sells Rolex. Not clear if that's a legal issue or if that's part of this. But now that Rolex does own 100 Bucher stores, how will that come into play?
Hmm.
And trying to wind down here. I wrote a lot. This was a lot. Take a breath here.
You're doing
um,
great.
he does bring up something interesting though. Hermes is not stopping you from buying other very expensive bags, which there are a lot of. And he looked on the website, and there's a number of bags that cost $20,000 if you want to buy an expensive, if you have that need to buy an expensive handbag. There are options. Similarly, there are a lot of other expensive competitors out there to Audemars Piguet. You can buy any one of those. If you want to blow money on a watch, there are plenty of ways to do it, and it does not have to be an AP. Would the Justice Department care if we were denied access to buying an AP Jumbo or an Hermes Birkin when any of those other options are out there? Um, and he goes into the Sherman Antitrust Act, but I think basically, if you can't control the market as a whole, are you liable under these antitrust acts? These were set up. These antitrust acts were set up to, you know, prevent monopolies in huge industries, steel, oil, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if Hermes and all these other watch brands have the power to, have a monopoly on the market of handbags or watches, so it might be a little different thing. But that's all I have to say about that. What do you think about this? It's pretty interesting.
Hey, it is pretty interesting. And at first blush, I'm like, yes, let's break this, system, because it'll directly benefit me. I don't have to like spend money on frivolous watches to get the watches that I want to get, which is
Yep.
very, there's not many of those. But, and I think I'm not an attorney. Okay. I don't know antitrust law, or laws, in detail, right? I mean, I get the gist of it, right? Um, he makes a great point, Tommaso, at the end there. And you highlighted it. If you're not controlling the industry, if there's other options for you to go out there, right? If you don't, if you can't buy the Pepsi, but you can get the equivalent for the same price from a different brand,
Right.
um, and Rolex has no control over that, then what? There's no lawsuit here. In my opinion, there's no lawsuit. Now, I don't like it. I don't like that, Hermes is making you spend all this money, to get the Birka bag that you want. It feels kind of like grimy, but I mean that's the model and it works. And I just don't see any kind of way, uh, out of it. I mean, they have a right to sell whatever they want to sell and how they ever want to sell it. I guess if it's not like affecting, the whole industry as a whole, or that specific, type of product, if you can still go out there get there from a different carrier vendor, then what can you do? I mean, I'm just trying to think of it as like, if it goes to court and what the lawyers and judges are going to think. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I can't go with my emotion here, right? It is what it is, and I think it's an interesting discussion point, right? Um, but it's not going to change anything. What do you think, Clayton?
Yeah, I don't think this flies. But if it did, wow. And Rolex has, I think there was one in France where somebody went after them because their watches aren't available on their website. So yeah, this is not new, but it seems like more and more it's starting to gain the attention of certain people and the law in certain instances. So I think it's silly. I don't feel like I'm entitled to buy anything just because I have the money to do it.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like people want to use my service. If I'm busy, if I'm too busy, if my schedule's full, I can't serve you. Like it's not my right to serve everybody. It's not your right to be served by a vendor. Like I don't know. They're a private business. They kind of do what they want, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Again, I mean, I agree as long as like and Tim highlights it, as long as they're not like you know, um, influencing that industry,
Yeah.
or making it, difficult
Or
for competitors to
discriminating
compete
based
or shoot.
on race, color, creed,
Yeah,
whatever, right? Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
like, what can you do? What can you
right.
do? But well done, man. Well
Oof.
done explaining that.
Uh, thank you.
Because that was a long
I
stretch,
left a
and
lot out.
yeah, yeah. But no, but you as you always do, you do a great job,
Oh, thank you.
putting it together.
I can feel people
Um,
starting to snore as I'm talking there.
how is this not a frivolous lawsuit? There's a purpose. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
you're right. You're right.
Talk about first
Um,
world problems.
right, right, right. Um, you're right, Wilson. As always, you are. Okay, moving on to the last video of the evening. Federico talks watches. He does this every once in a while, every week or so, or 2 weeks. He'll put up the Q&A picture on Instagram, and answer a few questions. He's got a couple here that found kind of sort of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Um, and something that stuff that we can relate to and talk about. And so like the first one was, a question was in the spirit of like, how much does power reserve really sway, your choice when it comes to watches. I believe the person who asked the question was looking into a GOCQ that only has like 40-hour power reserve. And so Fed says that it really it really has he agreed that the 40-hour power reserve is actually pretty short for a modern watch. But power reserve does not really sway him much at all when it comes to watches, with the exception of the perpetual calendar, because he says the difficulty of most of those perpetual calendars to set that. So he rotates watches on a daily anyway, so most of the time when he picks up a watch to wear, it is dead, right? So he has to wind it, but he enjoys that interaction with that. That's not a really a big deal. He likes setting the watch and all of that, which I gotta say, Clay, to me, power reserve is not. It's one of the lower qualifications needed. I mean, it's nice to have a watch with 70-hour power reserve or 60-hour power reserve, but to me, it's not really a deal breaker. I much prefer, as a complication on the watch, seeing the power reserve than actually having any kind of like crazy amount of power reserve on
Right.
it. You know what I mean? I like that. I like it's one of my favorite complications to see on a dial. Hey, what do you think? I mean, is it important to you?
I don't consider it when I'm buying a watch, but I will say my 3 main, automatic watches all have 70 hours, the
Oh wow,
Moser, the
yeah,
Rolex, and the Tudor, and I do like that. It is nice.
mhm, mhm.
I have a Seiko I use for work, and, that's I think that's 40.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, it's dead already." Oh, and I look at my box, and because I have a 3-day rotation going too, so, like, wear the Rolex, wear the Tudor, wear the Citizen, and then on that 4th day, the first one I wore on Monday is still going.
yeah,
So
yeah. That is nice.
I
That is
do like
nice.
that. Yeah, so,
Yeah,
no, I wouldn't not buy a watch if it was 40. It's way down the list of, like, importance, like, I'm not going to buy a watch. Like, it's not an excuse I would make going back to last week's video, about not buying a watch. "Oh, it's only 40 hours." But no, I
yeah,
will say, it is nice to have a longer power reserve.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Would you do you have like a watch winder? Is that something that?
I would never I have them, actually, my
Yeah,
wife got they just collect dust.
yeah. My wife got
Yeah.
it too.
I don't use
Uh,
it.
I was convinced early on in my collecting that, or my enthusiasm, that I needed a watch winder, and my wife got me one. And really, I just don't know if I know how to use it. But I don't know. It just whatever. It just goes in and moves.
Yeah.
Doesn't really do anything. I do like Fed. I do like to wind them. You know what I mean? I do like to um, have that. I like to have that connection
Right.
with
That's
it.
part of the reason we like, automatic watches.
Yeah, yeah. But even the manual watches, like, I just like that too.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the best part of the manual watch, is winding it manually, because usually they have like a different sound, at least the ones I've had, and it's just in a different feel, and it's cool. It's a real throwback. Um, okay, moving on. The second uh question was, do you think Moser will blow up like FPJ? And Fed says, well, Moser has really actually blown up, in a sense, in the last like 3 or 4 years that he's had interest in him. I think he has maybe a couple of Mosers. Will it be at FPJ levels? He doesn't think so, because really it's a different business model, right? They have he did say that Moser has great management team, and he feels like they want to sell more watches than FP Journe, and so that there is more room to grow. And I agree. I think that the news has been out on Moser for at least a few years. It's not like you're necessarily getting in on the next new thing, and that's not a bad thing. But I think Moser has had their presence in the watch collecting world. It may not be a brand that your average, Joe citizen might know, but us watch collectors who have been doing this for a little while, we know who's. I mean, you have a Moser,
Yep.
and so I feel like they've already they've already had their, or they're having their moment, as we speak. Although interestingly, and another difference between them and FPJ. I mean, FPJ. I mean, like, the wait to get one of those watches is insane. They make less, right? And so the pricing. I mean, it's a totally different animal. I mean, it's just, the secondary pricing is just crazy, right? Whereas Moser, I don't know if there's not too many models, or if any, in the secondary that go above MSRP. Um, that's not a knock. It's just like it's just way too. It's just
Right.
two different brands. But anyway, what do you think, Clayton?
Yeah, it's like, maybe the Streamliner, does that like, some models, do they go above, I don't know. Mine certainly, took a I bought it pre-owned, thank
Yeah,
God. I didn't buy that thing new. That's, yeah, if you that's a keeper if you bought the one I have new, because it took a hit, and it's precious metal.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
that's why. A lot
yeah.
of, precious metal watches have yeah, yeah, 2 definitely, and also, like, 2 different vibes.
Mm-hmm.
FP is kinda known as a salty dog
Yeah,
kinda
yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and the Baylods are, very nice, and they're
Yeah.
engaging on social media with you if you're an owner, like,
Dreamy
2
eyes.
different
Yeah.
personalities. Yeah, they have a sense of humor with their watches. Um, yeah, some people like, some people don't. The cheese watch, the Alp
Yeah,
watch,
yeah,
they
yeah,
do
yeah.
that kind of thing. And
Right.
also you can buy them at Exquisite Timepieces.
Mm-hmm.
Hopper is an
Mm-hmm.
authorized dealer, so they're definitely not as exclusive. And like you said, from the video, I don't think they want to be.
Right.
So I think maybe that you can buy them from, authorized dealers instead of like we talked about in Tim's video. FP Journe only sells through their boutiques. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody might live near one.
Right.
And they're also very expensive. So I think that creates a little more exclusivity than what Moser has, because you can buy them you can buy one online right now if you wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Um, Okay, moving on. There was a couple other ones, but I'm just gonna go with one more, and probably the one that most people were interested who clicked on this video anyway. Will this be the year of since will this be the year of the white dial watches and a white dial Explorer? Fed says that white dial Explorer makes sense, and a way for Rolex. It's an easy way for Rolex to make a lot of money. And then he, like, is like, kind of like, passive aggressively says, because Rolex, they like to make a lot of money. Well, who doesn't? Who doesn't? Well, like, why would you get into this business if you don't want to make a
Yeah.
lot? Anyway,
You
I
don't,
think,
Fed?
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think, Fed has like, an axe to grind with Rolex for some
Right.
reason, and so, like, he'll take his cheap shot. But you know what? No one knows, right? No one knows what's going to come out. But he says, it's not a bad prediction. Um, uh, I don't mean this to be like a Rolex kind of
Oh,
prediction.
sorry. Dogs are
N-
going nuts.
No worries. Part of the segment, but do you see that as a possibility? Do you see that a white dial Explorer, maybe in the cards this year?
Um, if I had to bet money on it, I would say no.
Yeah,
But, I mean, like he brought up, they did a two-tone, which nobody saw coming. People want this,
it's
so they
wondering.
won't do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
It's weird. I don't know that anybody was asking for a two-tone
Mm-hmm.
Explorer,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody's asking over the years for something like this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be cool. It would be hard to get one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just don't like. I mean, look, if they come out with a white dial Explorer, I think, it'll obviously sell. I just don't know how good a white dial Explorer would look. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, legibility wouldn't be great, would it?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, they would have to, like, do something in regards to make it. Do they go the route of, like, the Polar Explorer 2 that they had come out with, like the really dark
Black. Yeah.
black, defined outline of the hands, and what, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. I feel like Rolex does things slowly at times, right? Um, and I even though this may be the year of the white dial, and probably just the interest has been kicked off because of the white dial Speedmaster, but I don't see them doing it. Well,
Yeah.
put it this way, I think it's likelier that they don't do it than they do. You know. So that is my thoughts. Let's see what the chat's got to say. 120 power reserve for Mason. That's what he wants. Jathan, I think his Fathoms has that maybe. I do like the 70-hour power reserve, but I agree with Legs that an indicator is more important. Maison saying, but seriously, 38 power reserve would not stop me from exactly. It would
Right.
not stop
Same.
me from buying right.
No.
Exactly.
If I like the
Um,
watch,
y-
yeah, wouldn't
yeah.
care one bit.
I think even don't quote me on this. I'm probably wrong, but I have a feeling that the my Nomos Club is only like a 38 hour power reserve, the manual one that I have. Um, Mr. Casio, I like being able to let a watch rest for a couple days before coming back. I find it's still running. Okay.
Some days
Being
I'm
in a
surprised. I look and like, "Oh, wow, the Air King's still going." I
yeah, well,
feel like
doesn't it
it's
have
been
a
forever
70
since
hour?
I wore that. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. I love that. I like that
Um,
too.
Maison, referring to Moser, being an obscure brand to Joe Public is part of what I like about Moser for
Yeah.
sure. The streamline or secondary prices are still run about MSRP. Um, Joy B in agreement with Maison. It'll happen at some point. I believe White Dial Explorer he's referring to, and if and when I get an Explorer 40, it will be a black dial. I agree. I agree. I mean, look, if they come out with a white dial and I see it in person, I mean, it might be stunning. Who knows? I just don't see it. I don't know. I just don't see. I feel like they can do that kind of exploration of dials with the OPs. You know what I mean? Like that's like something that they have that set up for the white dial explorer. I think is as likely as a white dial um, um, Air King. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I don't know. I just don't see it happening. How about an Explorer with a rose gold hands and white in indices on white? I That's way
Hmm.
too risky on not risky, but that's way too forward thinking um, for Rolex. I don't see Rolex ever doing that.
Like, the Polar Dial Explorer 2 works because there's pops of color, there's that
Hmm.
orange GMT hand, there's,
Hmm.
yeah, there's a little more color. It's a more fun and playful watch than the
Yeah,
Explorer, I think. But, I mean, I don't know. They could do it. They'd do it right if and when they do it, they will do it right, you know that. It'll look good.
yeah, absolutely. I'm I don't know. Out of curiosity, now I just want to go check this out. Hold on one second. Let me see. Um, Let me just try to pull it up.
Now, was there ever is there, like, folklore that a white explorer did exist? There is one out there or something like that, I feel like I've seen that. I don't know if
Really?
it's
Yeah.
true
I
or
mean,
not, though. I have no idea if it's real.
um, yeah. No, I never heard that before. Let's see here. Let's do something that we don't do that often in the
Go to a regular, yeah, convert to a regular live stream.
yeah. Let's see here. This okay. Explore, learn more. Well, their site is becoming a little bit of a pain in the ass. I got to be
Oh,
honest
I
with you.
hate using their website.
Okay, so like I've had. Oh, come on. Configure. Let's just do that. Ugh.
I know it's a pain.
Okay. So like I've had white dial watches or light blue, very, very the I had a um ice one of those ice blue Seiko
Mhm.
Sumos. Okay. The dial was like that ice, very light ice blue, and it had indices in hands with the like the silver indices with the loom in it, right? And that silver against that light blue, which I think will have the same effect on the white dial, was almost in certain angles impossible to read the time for me.
Yeah.
I just don't see how they change it up.
They're gonna
I
have to
just
do it like the, Speedy did, making black indices. That's what they did for the white dial Speedy. They're gonna have to do something like that because that's really well done. But everything is uh, gold filled white, right, with the indices and everything. So on Rolex. So I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, yeah. Let me go to the oh, fuck's sake. I'm sorry. It's just
It
I
is
get
not
frustrated.
a very yeah, it's not a great site.
Okay, let's see. Configure, start. All right, let's just do the dial. Do they not have the white dial OP
They may have
anymore?
discontinued that one.
Hmm. Well, anyway, I don't know. I was just trying to see if I could pull that up and then perhaps maybe kind of see if like it could work. I just don't think it's gonna. I don't think it would work.
It's one of those
But
watches that may not look as good as we think it might.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And she watched. I remember seeing an OP36 white dial with 3.6 and 9 dial at the Rolex AD. Okay, okay. Well, how did it look? There was a white dial Air King, the 34 millimeter, but it had an
Yep.
Explorer look. Okay. They had it in a blue, but white dial was a Japanese release.
Air King and
Uh,
Explorer looked very similar there for a while, but Air
yeah,
King just had different color variations. That was basically it. That's where they experimented.
I have a Zin 104 white dial. Reading the time on it was not great. Lack of contrast. 55 black dial with a black polish hand can read it perfectly. Yeah, I think it would be a contrast issue.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Yep.
White dial OP um, was an old version, 39 millimeter version. Okay, okay, so not the 41. Um, yeah, yeah, man. Anyway, look, we'll see what happens. I mean, like Watches and Wonders in a couple weeks. I think Rolex probably will time their.
Next weekend, right? I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I might have to do a couple streams during the week to catch up with all the new releases. But
I
that's always
always
fun.
look
I think
forward
that's
to
what we did
that.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, I look
absolutely.
forward to those streams you do.
Hey man, what do you got going for the rest of the weekend? You doing anything? I mean,
Uh,
other than
I'm meeting a watch enthusiast from another group for breakfast tomorrow,
how dare
or
you, another
coffee.
group?
Yeah, another group. Yeah, local group. Obviously, he lives like a mile and a half from me, so we're gonna go
Nice.
get coffee in Providence tomorrow, and meeting a couple new clients this weekend, and yeah, that's about it. Hopefully, just have a nice, relaxing weekend. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, same thing, maybe throw the ball around with the boy. He's starting baseball in a couple weeks, and for some reason I dropped the ball with baseball. No pun intended. I dropped the ball with him in baseball. Like I didn't start throwing. I mean, he's 7. I probably should have been out there a while ago, a year ago.
Yeah,
I don't remember what happened. How like I when I was a kid. I think I just
get a couple mitts and go and
yeah.
throw the ball with your son.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think he's a little nervous because about catching the ball. But well, maybe I'll do some grounders, first and just get him used to it. But
Just throw
yeah,
him a fastball, just
yeah,
right
just
into the fire.
you know, give him some little chin music.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, no. Hopefully for a relaxing weekend. Hey, chat. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. And Clayton, I'll see you next Sunday
Yeah.
for another episode of Watch Soup. Everyone, have a great night and a great weekend.
Yep, take care. Happy
Take
Easter,
care.
everybody.
Happy Easter.